Hey guys, welcome back to Monster Hunter Rise. Today I want to answer a question that I had a bunch of comments on in one of my previous videos where I said the fastest method to farm materials for your melding value so that you can meld talismans in the quickest way possible by getting materials the most frequent way possible in terms of the material values in the melding pot. And we came to the conclusion that Narwa and Teostra were our best methods to use in that video. But a few comments said that Wyvern riding, going into a quest where like Magnamalo, Teostra, and Rajang or Rukna Kadaki are, you can use them and all like Wyvern ride them into each other so they each drop 3 shinies, so you get to take or pick up 9 shinies in total and then quickly leave the quest, return from it with other items, and then go and do a melding. And a lot of them were saying that that method is better than the ones that I thought. And I was like, I'm not entirely sure about that because I tested that in the last update. I mean, the first game, like the base game before the update, and that wasn't the case. Narwa was better than farming Rajang's shinies, Rajang quest where he had like all the shinies and everything with the other monsters, and the numbers just didn't work out in his favor. But to test this, what I've done is I've gone into a quest with Teostra, Magnamalo, and Rukna Kadaki. They're all in the same quest. And what I did is I immediately teleported all the way over to Magnamalo, rode him to Teostra, attacked him 3 times, made him drop the 3 shinies, launched Magnamalo into Teostra to knock Teostra into a Wyvern riding state so that I can ride Teostra to attack Rukna Kadaki 3 times, get 3 shinies, and then obviously ram him into Rukna Kadaki so Rukna Kadaki becomes rideable, and took Rukna to Magnamalo to attack Magnamalo 3 times to get 3 shinies, and then basically just pick up all 9 shinies. And what I've done is I've taken those 9 shinies, wrote them down in a list, compared them in the melding pot, like what the value of items I get for them, and in that entire quest, it took me 4.5 minutes to do, and it wasn't particularly a slow quest. I didn't really do anything wrong. Sure, sometimes the monsters can be in easier locations, but really they weren't like so far away that it was like, drastic. I think 4.5 minutes is a good standpoint for this. I'm not sure what times you guys are pulling this off in. But what I got was 760 points in terms of material value for 4.5 minutes in the quest. Now this is enough for basically just one melding because a full wisp of mystery melding costs 750. We got 760, so we basically can do 1.013 meldings per quest where we just kind of wyvern ride the monsters. Now at a base glance, this might actually look like it's a higher value than Teostra and Narwa, but if you take into account the times of the loading times of a quest, because you're not actually just spending 3 minutes or 4 minutes for the wyvern riding, you're spending the extra like minute and a half for the load screens. And like waiting for the quest to load and getting into it. You can't just like, every 3 minutes you're popping off a wyvern riding. No, you gotta actually do a lot of loading screens in between. So if I added the 1.5 minutes to the Wyvern riding quest, and then I added 2 minutes to Teostra and Narwa, because obviously you need to eat a dango to kind of get the extra buffs for fighting those monsters. And in the Wyvern riding, I took the 30 seconds of doing the dango out. So even with that case there, and putting the numbers like that, Wyvern riding is basically slightly worse than doing a Narwa run. So in the long term, if you had to do one of these quests for an hour, like you had to farm Teostra quests for an hour, do Narwa quests for an hour, or do Wyvern riding for an hour, Wyvern riding will basically be the same as Narwa. The numbers I have here indicate that I'll basically get the same amount of materials or the same amount of meldings as I would from doing a Narwa quest. But Teostra is giving me a huge increase in terms of what I can get out of a Teostra quest. And Apex Diablos is falling off way off into the lower end. So it's better than doing Apex Diablos rampages, though. So if you want to do Wyvern riding over rampages, that's great, it will work. But Narwa and Teostra, for the long run, for farming, are going to give you the best value for your time. Something to also keep in mind is during a Teostra quest, you can also pick up the shinies from the monsters as well. So you can get the same materials value just for that by picking up the shinies from your actual hunt than you would from your just typical only wyvern riding. Simply because of the loading times. Now, this does change depending on how you play the game. Like, for example, if you can manage to do a wyvern riding quest and get all 9 shinies in like 3 minutes or less, you can drastically change the outcome of the thing here. So if I bring the time down like to 3 minutes or less, so for my time there's basically, let's say 4.5. So we'll assume that you did your Narwa quest, your wyvern riding in basically 3 minutes, right? Plus the minute and a half of loading screen time that the game takes. Then you have a really good standpoint for wyvern riding, but at the same point, people can kill Narwa in 6 minutes. So if I minus 3 minutes from my Narwa time, which was 9 minutes, from the 11 that we added the extra 2 minutes for the Dango and the load screen times, I basically minus another 3 there, so we go down to 8 over here. Now this means that my Narwa run is actually infinitely, like a whole, like 10 times better than it was previously compared to Wyvern riding. So doing Narwa in 6 minutes versus Wyvern riding in 3 minutes, Narwa is still like 10% better than what your Wyvern riding is going to be. Now let's look at Teostra. I've got Teostra. I did Teostra in 13 minutes. Some people say that you can do it in 10. So I'm going to minus 3 there from the thing over there. And we're going to actually see that Teostra for some reason is actually worse. It's weird how this works. It all depends on your times. Now, in this case, Narwa is the better one. Narwa is the best one here. Wyvern riding will be better than Teostra. If you can Wyvern ride in 3 minutes and get 9 shinies, and your Teostra time to kill is about 10 minutes, that means Wyvern riding is going to be better than Teostra if your Wyvern is at 3 minutes and your Teostra is at 10 minutes. But if your Narwa is around 6 minutes, Narwa is going to be the best. Even if your Narwa is at 7 minutes, it's still way better than Wyvern riding. And that's assuming you can do Wyvern riding in 3 minutes. This obviously all depends on your timing, but I say on average, Narwa and Teostra will probably still be your better ones to do. For me particularly, Narwa is the absolute best because I always have the most consistently average low times to complete, versus where Wyvern riding takes me between like 4 minutes to maybe like 5-6 minutes depending on where the monsters are on the map. And Teostra is just kind of a very difficult monster right now, and he kills a lot of people, and it's kind of difficult to do him for me. So that is my findings, what I found out on the Wyvern riding versus actual hunts against Narwa and Teostra. This might be different for you. You'll have to kind of just check and see from your own standpoint. I just wanted to point out that it's actually not the single-handedly the best method, the Wyvern riding one. It's not the best method. There are a few flaws that are introduced with it because of the load screens. So I hope you guys enjoyed this information. I hope it was helpful. I hope it gives you a little bit more of a path to follow. I would still recommend actually doing Narwa or maybe even Teostra, as long as you're doing Teostra in a really good speed. Narwa is still the standpoint for me. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and thank you so much for watching.